Hey guys, Chris with Wolverine Lawn Care here. First off, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. I'm sure a lot of you aren't mothers that are watching this, but happy Mother's Day to your moms and your wives, the mothers to your kids. But it's Sunday. Missed yesterday because of Mother's Day. I went and celebrated with my mom. Took her out to dinner. But we didn't get any mowing done. It's still raining like crazy here in Oklahoma. So I'm not quite caught up from last week, but we're going to try to get that done the beginning of this coming week. Get back on track. Hopefully it doesn't rain anymore. I know we, as lawn care guys, we depend on the rain to make these yards grow. But man, at some point, it's got to dry up enough for us actually to get the work done. I see a lot of guys out here still mowing. I mean, I understand, especially if it's your only job, you got to get your bills paid. But, man, some of these that I've seen that are done, the yards are tore up. I mean, as a customer, I would not like that. It would kind of piss me off. But, it is what it is. Those guys hire them. I don't like doing that, even if it may upset the customer. That I didn't get to it right away. I don't, it's my name being put on that yard at that point. And I don't want people to see my quality of work like that. I don't want people seeing yards tore up and then knowing it was me that did it. So, but anyway, hey, to each their own. But my last video, I had a couple comments on my car that I've got sitting in the garage that you guys have probably seen. In previous videos. You probably haven't seen a whole lot of it, but I'm not going to do any mowing footage today because Mother's Day. Obviously, no one wants to have that done. Everyone's with family. So instead, I know it's a mowing channel, but I'm going to go ahead and show you this car that I've got sitting here. I'm sure a lot of you guys are car guys, so you'll still appreciate this. It is a 1968 Plymouth roadrunner. I've had the body work done, painted. Before I did that, took it to the guy I had that done. I actually stripped the interior. It wasn't in terrible shape, but it was in bad enough shape. I went ahead. If I was gonna do it, I thought I'd go ahead and do it right. Do it right the first time. Tear everything out of it, which, that was like 3 years ago. I'm kind of regretting it now because it's just, once you get these things tore apart, it is really hard to get them back together, guys. Especially if you're not mechanically driven like me. I don't enjoy working on cars. It's just not my forte. Seems like every time I do something goes wrong. So that's why I don't like doing it. But I do eventually plan on getting this put back together. So a little background on this car. It belonged to my dad. He had it for probably 15 years, maybe 20. He got it. It was pretty much in the same shape the whole time he had it. It was in fair condition. It had a little bit of rust here and there. Gradually got worse over time because it was kept outside. It was actually a vinyl top, black vinyl top on it. He always wanted to knock it down to a hard top. I kind of like the vinyl top personally, but after, doing some thinking and, realizing, if anything ever, a little scratch gets put or a little rip in that vinyl top gets done, you pretty much have to replace the whole vinyl top. So I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and do a hard top. I can always put a vinyl top on it later. So the color, I did a lot of looking around. These cars, and back in the day when these things were built, they used a lot of flashy colors. Maybe not in the 1968, but 69, 70, they used a lot of flashy colors. This is actually Go Mango, I think is the Dodge version of it, the Dodge name. This is actually, now that I'm talking about it, I can't even think what the color was called. It is orange, obviously, but man, I really like it. I think it really stands out. Really pops. These cars were, hell, it's named after a cartoon character, so it kind of lends itself to being color like this, kind of an outlandish color. But man, it really looks good. The guy had to do it. Did a real good job. It's not a show quality. It is a very good driver quality, though. They stripped it down to bare metal, did all the body work. I had to replace one fender. I think it was this driver fender here. I had to use one that I found off a guy. It turned out pretty good. This back quarter, I actually had to replace the whole thing. Once they stripped it down, there was Bondo everywhere, and it looked like it had just been beat to death. So I bought a brand new quarter panel from AMD off of Classic Industries website, and they put that on there. It's pretty dirty. Honestly, ever since I've got the bodywork done, I haven't even washed it because all the glass is out. And I don't want to get any moisture inside the cab, then it could lead to some more rust. Kind of a little interesting thing I did. The top of these door panels are actually supposed to be black, and I decided, see if I can get a better picture here, guys. The lighting in here is terrible. There you go. But yeah, the top is supposed to be black, but I thought, okay, it would actually kind of look really nice if it was the same color as the car. And there's another piece on the sail panel here. That's still really hard to see. Another metal piece that goes there that I'm going to paint orange as well. And I think it'll really make the interior pop. The interior is actually going to be black. It's all black. The seat was actually redone probably 10 years ago, and it's actually in really good shape. So I'm just going to reuse that. Most of the other interior parts I have either redone or I'm going to buy brand new. I had the dash redone because it had a huge hole in it when my dad got it, and after I took it to my guy, we looked at it, and it was filled with Bondo, just a whole glob of Bondo. That's kind of all my parts over there, guys. It's kind of a mess. I had to make room for all my mowers and my equipment. But I had the dash redone. The metal part of the dash, I've got to still do the gauges and all the other stuff. Put it back together. The wiring was a mess. It was real bad shape. A bunch of the gauges weren't working. It was just a mess. I'm not sure if I'm gonna redo the wiring harness or if I'm going to actually buy a new one. I'm not real sure yet. The wiring harnesses are really expensive, but I don't know. We'll see. Now that I've got it down to this position, I kind of want to do it right. Because I don't like electrical stuff, as I'm sure a lot of you guys don't. I don't want to mess with it ever again if I don't have to. So I've got the headliner bought. That's really the only thing I'm going to have done. I've talked to a lot of guys, and it just sounds like it is a pain in the ass, so I'm not going to do it myself. And that's kind of where I'm stuck right now. The engine is here. It does run. I've had it running before. I had to hotwire it up. There's a dash obviously isn't in it. So, if I have to move it somewhere, I've got to move it by hand, and this is not a light car. So I'm just kind of biding time right now. But speaking of the engine, this is a 440 cubic inch Mopar, obviously. Big block. None of these small block cars, engines. I'm not saying I don't like them. Hell, most of the vehicles nowadays, that's what they use. But, man, I love these big blocks. There's something else. Like I said, I have had this running. It's not the original engine of the car. If you guys know anything about Mopars, the 68 Roadrunners did not come with a 440. They came with a 383 or a 426 Hemi, which, hey, I'd love to have a Hemi, but, man, I don't have that kind of money. The original engine, my dad actually, it was a funny story. He was peeling out in the driveway. It's actually not funny. He was peeling out in the driveway, and the flywheel exploded. which I guess it was technically the clutch exploded, but it blew up the flywheel too. Pieces went flying through the floorboard, nearly cut his foot off, which is not good. And it actually blew up with such force, part of it hit the frame on the passenger side and dented it in quite a bit. If you go to my Facebook page, Chris Barron, I have on my albums, my photo albums, there's a whole album to my 68 Roadrunner here, and you can see the dent in the frame. I mean, it was bad. Unfortunately, I didn't know about it until after I drove it once to work. I'm lucky I didn't hit a big pothole because it could have done some serious damage. But they ended up cutting that piece out of the frame and welding in a whole new piece of metal. So it's good to go. I haven't had a chance to drive this thing at all since I got it back. A few things that I do want to do to it. I want to put the biggest, fattest tires I can on the back, which these aren't small tires by any means, but they're not. They don't fill the wheel well. I want them to fill the wheel well as much as possible and still function properly. I love these mag wheels. These are sick wheels, guys. I just love them. But that's the main thing I want to do to it. It's got a 440, like I said, 440, 4-speed car, not automatic, man. I want to be barking through the gears. Be a fun little car. It's probably going to turn into a father-son car at this point with my son because I don't have time for it right now. I don't have the money for it. My wife stays home with my son raising him. So most of any extra income I have goes to her staying home. But a couple other little cool tidbits about this car. Most of it is original to the car. Most of the body's original. I did have to replace the hood. The original hood was in real bad shape. As most of these cars' hoods are, you can see it back there. It was pop marked by hail all over, guys. And, I could have either bondoed it up, just bondoed everywhere, and it would have just... it would have turned out all right, but, no one wants Bondo all over their car. So I went ahead and bought a brand new hood from AMD. And I've had a few fitment issues. My uncle and I have kind of played with it, and it's still not perfect, but it's not too bad. But, I went ahead and bought a brand new hood, like I said. But like I said, a couple cool little tidbits. My dad actually had a 68 Roadrunner back when he was a kid. It was probably back in like the 70s, I want to say. And there's a 68 Roadrunner gold car, and it actually the story behind it's really cool, at least the story that I was told. He as most of these guys, these older guys out there with these cool cars, he was unbeaten, which I've kind of joked, if he was never unbeaten and this guy's not unbeaten, did they actually ever race? Did anybody actually ever race back then? Because no one was ever beaten. It's kind of funny. But anyway, the school he was at, he actually raced the top guy that was there. I can't remember what kind of car it was. And he actually beat him. And then the guy, I made an excuse. He did something, missed a gear. So my dad raced him again, beat him again. And the guy got real pissed. And like a couple days later, my dad's car blew up. And I don't know if they found a pipe bomb inside of it or something or other. It was something. They found something in it, and it was blown up. Destroyed the car. But before it did get completely destroyed, my dad was able to save a few things. I don't know if they were off the car or if he had time to take them off. I don't know exactly, but he was able to save a couple parts from his original car, which is really cool. And my brother actually has a 68 Roadrunner 2 that he's had since he was a teenager, and a couple of the parts that we have, this is not it. The part that I'm talking about is actually up in that pile. But I have my dad's original grill from that car back in the 70s. This is the original grill, I believe, from this car. And it's, like you say, it's missing a tooth there. As far as I know, they don't manufacture new versions of these repops. So it's kind of cool, good. It's nice that I have an older, and the version I have, the one of my dad's, is actually in really good shape. So that's kind of cool. I get to put an homage to my dad's car on this car. And my brother, we also have the rear finish panel that goes along this piece right here. You can see the holes. It's a rear finish panel that's really cool. It says Plymouth, and he's gonna actually put that on his car. It's in pretty decent shape. It's better shape than what he has, but he's gonna put that on his car. And we also have the original hood louvers that go here from my dad's car, and my brother's car that he just had redone. He redid it in gold, just like my dad's old car. And the ones that we have, the hood louvers that we have of my dad's old car, are actually gold from his previous car. So my brother's just gonna put those on there. So we're gonna have both of our cars. My brother and I are gonna have pieces of my dad's old car on it. So it's gonna be kind of cool to have those on there. But yeah, this is the old '68 Roadrunner. Like I said, if you guys see this, you're gonna see it in my videos. Fortunately, it doesn't get a lot of work right now. That's kind of what I was asked. When is it gonna get on the road? Man, I don't know. I wish it was sooner rather than later, but we all have bills and things come up. So unfortunately, I could have had this car done like 2 or 3 times since I've had it. Back from the body shop. Financially, I could have had it done, and time. I just, like I said, it doesn't really interest me, mechanical stuff. But yeah, it needs a lot of work. I've got a few parts already for it. There was a little bit of rust in the floorboards. Nothing substantial. I think my guy I actually had a couple old pieces of the floorboard from my brother's car that I had patched in there. My trunk, as most of these cars, it was in bad shape. So my guy, instead of putting a whole trunk pan in, which I wish I could have done, but financially I just couldn't, he cut out what he could and fiberglassed in what he could, and it looks pretty good. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to do a rotisserie restoration on this car, and then I'll put a whole trunk pan in it. But, I'm sure a lot of guys look at the way I've got my garage set up and think, oh my gosh, you got so much equipment around your really nice car, hopefully you don't hit it. I take a lot of care when I put this stuff up, because, I don't want to hit this car. It wasn't cheap to get the body work done. My wife doesn't even come near my equipment when it's like this, because she doesn't want to take a chance of hitting it. But yeah, guys, that's what this is. Hopefully we'll have some mowing footage for you this week. It's kind of my slow week, but like I said, I'm playing catch up on a few yards, so I'll get some footage out to you guys. But like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys have any nice, cool projects. I know a guy over at Acme Mowing that you guys probably watch. He's got that cool 67 Barracuda with a 360 in it. That's a pretty neat little car. Sorry, Ben, it's just a small block, But, hey, it's still Mopar. That's still cool. But I kind of like my big blocks. But this is a lot bigger car, I think, than your 67, so it needs a little bit bigger engine. But, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next video.